was there. I was there on the streets of Washington, D.C., watching thousands of women protest President Trump's inauguration in the name of women's rights and progress. And if I were a fool, I would have believed that. But I'm not. The Women's March was clearly an anti-Trump, anti-gun propaganda machine.
Today is an act of resistance.
I'm nasty, like my blood stains on my bed sheets.
Organize, organize, organize.
We are here to vow to end the Trump carnage.
We are this nation's moral compass.
Let's talk about the women of the Women's March movement. Tamika Mallory, Carmen Perez, and Linda Sarsour.
Allah accepts from us that as a form of jihad, that we are struggling against tyrants and rulers.
In addition to calling for jihad against President Trump and his administration, Linda Sarsour has openly praised Sharia law. If she had it her way, it would be the law of the United States. She praises a law that openly and proudly treats women worse than men. And yet the fake feminists, more interested in advancing their progressive agenda than actually advancing the rights of all women here and abroad, continue to praise her as being the rising star of the modern-day women's movement.
We don't just stand with Linda, we stand in front of Linda.
Let me be clear, leaders of the Women's March. You do not, have not, and will not ever speak for me. The very reason I'm a Second Amendment activist is because I believe in a woman's right to self-defense, the right to preserve a woman's independence. What better way to encourage that independence than making sure women have control over their own safety?
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan talks all the time about the nation not being able to rise any higher than its women.
What about the thousands of young women on college campuses everywhere? The ones that you've legislated into a perpetual state of victimization by keeping universities in this country gun-free zones, and thereby defense-free zones. The women who you don't think are capable or deserving of self-protection against sexual assault that you love to bring attention to. Former college students and sexual assault survivors Kimberly Corbin and Amanda Collins were exactly the way the leaders of the Women's March wanted them when they were confronted by violent predators, unarmed and defenseless.
I have been unspeakably victimized once already, and I refuse to let that happen again to myself or my kids.
Thank God they survived. And thank God their Second Amendment rights did too, because they will never be defenseless again. What about the 200,000 women who use a firearm to protect themselves from criminals every year? Finally, and you know this one was coming, let's talk about the Black community. Your demands against the NRA, and let's just be frank here, your demands against the entire Second Amendment community is simply this: a political opportunity to have more gun control pushed by your bought and paid for politicians. And that's not even the worst of it. Your call against the NRA is a calculated political effort to tear this country apart.
NRA members and people who Dana Lash may be thinking she was speaking to show up at protests and create tension on purpose.
It encourages more racial division instead of racial reconciliation.
We have to prepare ourselves, and may Allah protect us, and may nothing happen to our communities.
Why is it that every time I turn on the TV, I continue to see a world in 2017 that looks more like the racially divided days of the 50s and 60s? Let's be clear here. You guys did that.
A fascist and white supremacist and Islamophobes reigning in the White House.
The truth is, and you heard it from me first, it's your rhetoric, your hostility, your lies that have continued to keep the Black community down, unarmed and defenseless. But for your sake, continue to vote your way. You hide the fact that gun control laws were designed to keep men and women like me from self-protection from the real racists on the streets. You know, like the KKK, who began as you guessed it, a gun control group. It's funny, because your letter to the NRA claims to be on behalf of the minority community. Your letter claims to speak to women like me. Know what's even funnier, though? That you claim to be protesting the NRA on behalf of women and Black people when it is Black women who are becoming gun owners faster than anyone else. Give it up. Your movement is just a guise for the radical progressive, or rather regressive, left. It's not about empowering women, it's about enforcing an aggressive and radical left agenda. Because pro-gun women can look for empowerment elsewhere. And as a former leftist, I can personally attest that more of us are realizing the full extent of your lies and manipulation every day. I'm not buying it.
We are woke as hell.
No, empowered women like me are not buying it any longer. And let me repeat what my friend Dana Lash said. The only way we save our country and our freedom is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. That statement in that video that you demand the NRA take down immediately, what about it exactly are you condemning? Perhaps you should be condemning the violent left, those who don't represent me or my values.